Untamed. The platform.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Martin Devlin and Lachlan Watt, iOS. It's only sport. It's a Wednesday that feels so much like a Friday, big long weekend for most of us. Previewing a whole lot of weekend sport today, and as we went on air, the news breaking out of Sydney, the Daily Telegraph reporting that Jett Cleary joining the Warriors. So we began the show talking about that. Also guesting was Graham Lowe, Sir Graham Lowe. We talked about the NFL draft. Messi mania in Miami. Can't squeeze all of this onto the podcast for you. These are just some of the things that we covered today. But you will hear from Greg Martin, his thoughts on Anzac Day. Clark Dermody, the Highlanders coach, feeling the squeeze as much as Rob Penny is. Ricky Herbert, former Knicks coach, former All Whites coach, very proud All White himself. The Premiership plate will be at the Caton this Saturday. For the Knicks to win that, though, CCM also have to lose, and Miles Davis in his regular Wednesday slot. We begin the show the same way every day. Tablets in hand, gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. What happens to the money earned off the Anzac jerseys in the NRL round? Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Here's a question for you. Who gets the money from the Anzac jerseys that every NRL side produce, wear and promote over this very special Anzac round? It's a really important question, and it was raised by a good mate, Craig Norenbergs, on Twitter today. It deserves following up. It also deserves an honest, transparent answer, which at the moment is really hard to get. Now, I'm not pointing the finger here. I'm just simply asking the question, because Anzac Day to me and my generation isn't about sporting encounters and marketing department drawing the analogy between teams going into battle and fighting wars. That's just PR ponytail, fan-centric, fan engagement, BS fluff stuff. We all know that. Anzac Day is about remembering, commemorating and celebrating the lives of our war heroes, our fallen heroes and our injured, the bravest men, women and children who fought in various conflicts and paid the ultimate price, gave the ultimate sacrifice, courageous New Zealanders who never came home. The heartbreak and loss suffered and felt by generations of those families lives forever. It's about honouring those memories, respecting the dead and the injured, and reflecting on the fact that because of their bravery, their selflessness, we now lead such lives of freedom. We lead these wonderful lives where now we're all free to be rainbow and yell at the boomer generation and insult the attitudes and beliefs of our elderly people. That's the freedom that they gave us. You see, because it is all about us, isn't it? It's about what we want now. Except when it comes to Anzac Day, when it's about them. Anzac Day isn't about a game of rugby league. It isn't about a game of any code. So I'm hoping that the NRL clubs involved aren't making any money out of these jerseys. And if they are making money, then every single cent of those sales, less expenses, of course, goes to the relevant charities. The RSAs, the veterans' charities. Every single cent. So that's the question. Is that what happens? Who gets the money from the jerseys? And why won't anyone from the NRL or any of the clubs publicly, honestly, answer this question? Anzac Day isn't about sport, but what it is about is the sacrifices made by a hell of a lot of people that enable our precious generations to be able to sit, watch, and on this very special day, enjoy sport.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The platform.
Greg Martin, first up in a couple of minutes. What have we got sports headlines, pal?
A couple of SOS calls by New Zealand rugby franchises have come to light, Martin.
Yeah.
This is not really a promising look to the future of our playing stocks here in New Zealand, is it? The Hurricanes have contacted former All Black and franchise legend Dane Coles about covering his hooker following Asafo Aumua's knee injury. Aumua is got to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, I think it is. It's something, an MCL sprain of sorts, something to do with the MCL. Clark Laidlaw, the coach of the Hurricanes, said, yeah, we called him, being Dane Coles, but he got injured on the weekend, so he's not available. Former All Blacks first five, Aaron Cruden, has revealed he was approached by the Crusaders.
Lord, is this where New Zealand rugby's at? Dane Coles, TJ and Aaron. What? 2011's
TJ's
calling.
playing well.
They want their team back.
TJ's playing well. TJ didn't even debut in 2011, mate. Come on. Anyway, the Crusaders contacted Aaron Cruden to take up a role as an injury replacement before the start of the season. assistant coach James Marshall flicked him a call in January and said, hey, we need some help. We're a bit thin on 10s. Aaron Cruden did consider it, but eventually said, nah. Speaking of the Crusaders, their coach, Rob Penny, he remains defiant in the face of his side's disastrous run of results, saying he's confident that the defending champions of Super Rugby Pacific can still win and defend that title. Well, Rob, I think that's wrong. I don't think you can defend that title because you're just so out of form and you're missing the fact that there's 3 teams at least that are looking damn good. But I do agree with him that, hey, we can still get back on track against the Rebels. No.
Hey, look at the TAB has got them as hot favourites. Even now, I'm still sitting there thinking that they're going to win this game. Why do I think that? Why do I think that?
If you're a betting person, man or woman, or they, them, if you're a betting they, them, you'll love this one. Rebels to beat the Crusaders, mixed in with a Warriors 112 win. It pays about $260 if you put 20 down.
Whack it.
It's paying about $13. Pay it. Premier League this morning, Arsenal beating Chelsea. Well, not beating, thumping Chelsea 5-0. Arsenal sit top of the table outright, 3 points ahead of Liverpool, who are second, 4 ahead of Man City. But Arsenal have played 34 games, Liverpool have played 33. They play their 34th tomorrow morning. Man City have only played 32. So they've got a couple of games in hand with the leaders. But on corrected order, assuming they win all their games, Man City will still be top of the table. Mauricio Pochettino, manager of Chelsea, said that his side gave up during the game. You don't want to hear that if your manager's saying that about yourself and your teammates. Big news out of the A-League, and it's certainly not good news. Central Coast Mariners striker Angel Torres has been charged with sexual assault.
Right. Ugly.
New Zealand will send its largest ever women's canoe sprint team to the Paris Olympics this year. Of course, it will be led, that team, by Dame Lisa Carrington. She will be joined by Alicia Hoskin, Tara Vaughan, Olivia Brett, Amy Fisher, Lucy Matahaide, with the group competing across the K1, K2 and K4 events. Dame Lisa Carrington competing in all 3 of those. Former NRL player and 22-year-old Jackson Topini, who's New Zealand born, has reportedly launched a $4 million Australian dollar lawsuit against the Canterbury Bulldogs over what he describes as unlawful corporal punishment. Topini played 16 games for the Dogs between 2021 and 2023. Head to Fox Sports Australia. It's a nice big article on that. And the NBA, a couple of games going on at the moment. The Suns and the Timberwolves, game 2 of their Western Conference first round series, 60 points apiece. 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. The other game between the Indiana Pacers and Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks are up by 3, 38-35 in the second quarter. LA Clippers up against the Mavs later on. That tips off at 2 o'clock. That's what's making news, Martin.
Devlin,
Have you seen my wiener?
the platform.
Greg Martin joins us, normally on a Thursday. Okay, mate. So is it going to be a big, long 4-day weekend for you like it is us?
Well, for most of Australia, I get the vibe that this is the Anzac Easter weekend. No one is going to work on Friday apart from, well, we are, important radio people because I don't know why I'm going to work Friday, but I am. So, day off, though. Today feels like a Friday. So I'm happy as I finished work for the day from talking to you, but I don't regard this as work.
Anzac Day posed a question this morning. It's just a question, mate. So all of that money that the NRL clubs raise off their Anzac Day jerseys, that goes back to the Anzac charities, the RSAs and things, doesn't it?
You being silly?
Well, I mean, you can't find an answer. No one's actually prepared to actually honestly answer that question. I mean, when you think about it, Greg, it doesn't feel right that they're making money out of it, does it?
Oh, good point. I hadn't even thought about this. Now, yes, Anzac Day for Australia, in terms of football, starts tonight. There's AFL matches on. Can I put it to you, and I don't know whether we've discussed this first up before we get back to Anzac Day, is drug addicts, if you're a drug dealer, you don't want to stop the addict from his supply at all. Otherwise, he might get clean and he doesn't need you anymore.
Good point.
At the moment, we're not playing football on TV on enough nights of the week. I was hanging around home last night. It's a bit boring on a Tuesday night. There's a show called Farmer Wants a Wife. It's pitiful compared to a game of football. So what we need, what AFL is leading the way by saying, here's some football on a Wednesday night. Fabulous. Why don't they play? Well, I guess 7 days a week. It's nice on a Monday night maybe just to say, hello, I'm Dad. What's your name? You seem to be one of my children. To reconnect with the family. But from Tuesday until Sunday, every night should have a game of football. We've got enough teams. Why don't we just play football of some sort every night so blokes have got something to do? Back to the Anzac Day. there's too much. I worry. I reckon, the last post and everything. Is Anzac Day big in New Zealand?
Massive.
It's same here. It's enormous. I'll be going to the dawn service at 4:28 tomorrow morning with a mate. We'll probably have a rum and milk and then fall over around 9 a.m. And that's great. And that's how I want to celebrate my Anzac Day, thinking of relatives and stuff who are in the war.
Yeah,
but
same.
You should only, for the football matches that are on tomorrow, there's 3 NRL matches. That should be the day you play the last post. I don't know whether I'm a fan of the whole weekend, like on Sunday afternoon when the Titans play some other dodgy mob, where the last post should still be played then. I think it's only tomorrow. That's Anzac Day, because it's the biggest. I reckon it's the biggest holiday in Australia.
Thank you.
I'm a fan for just Anzac Day that day. Don't try to stretch it. And I'll hear the last post, I reckon, up to 15 times over the weekend. I'll watch enough football. So, I don't know, mate. I'm a big fan of Anzac Day, but not stretching it over.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. This is just fine-tuning, and it's the same about the jerseys. And, look, if you do want to absolutely respect, honour, commemorate and remember all our injured, all our fallen, well, then the honourable thing to do is actually to hand every single cent less expenses over to those charities. The other thing that gets me, of course, is that these days, of course, the modern generations whose freedoms to protest and to be rainbow and to be all of those things are only born off the fact of the ultimate sacrifice was made. So you can sit there and you can bemoan the past generations and you can ridicule their beliefs and you can call them boomers, you can call them all of that kind of stuff. And yet the memories, they're not so short. It's just that the Instagram generation doesn't even bother to have a look at this. Mate, the reality of it is if the Americans didn't get that bomb, we would all be enslaved. Now, they would come here. They don't give a stuff about who the tangata whenua is. The women get into sex slavery. The men become slaves, and you get worked till you starve, till you fall over, then they throw you in a pit. That's how they treated people. They would have gone through the whole of the Pacific, and basically generations of us would grow up like something out of 1984 Big Brother. We wouldn't even know what day it was.
Mate, I'm completely with you. My father-in-law was 3 boats along in Tokyo Harbour after the bomb had been dropped. He was 3 boats along when they signed that's the end of the war, we give up. He then went on to play for the Wallabies and had a life and gave a life. Australia had a life, and those men who fought on Kokoda and stopped them from entering Australia. Mate, you can't tell young people because everything's too easy. You can't say, listen, this is what it was like. I don't even know what it was like.
I don't know what it's like. No, we haven't. No, thank crikey. Yeah.
But we need to look backwards and be grateful. And that's what tomorrow's supposed to be about. Probably not about football games and raising money and all going and cheering. But there's no answer, mate, but I'm with you. The money should go back to return service and league and legacy and all those sort of things.
All right, let's look at the silly old sport that is going on. No, it needs to be said, mate. And I tell you what, we have to remind and we have to keep saying it because every generation that passes, they just don't care anymore, mate. Oh, did I find it on TikTok? And then in case it doesn't exist, let's look at the footy that is going over the weekend. Your Broncos are looking bloody good. Your Dolphins, I know you're still a supporter, are looking bloody good. But that Reds-Blues game Saturday night, after the Reds start to the season, after all the hope and the expectation, mate, that's got to be a statement game, doesn't it?
Well, you're right. They turned the corner last week against the Highlanders after having 3 stupid losses to Moana, Force and whoever else they lost to. And you thought, I thought they were the real deal and I was clinging to hope. And then that happened. And then last weekend they played well. But, mate, we lost our 2 best players. They're my 2 favourite Reds players, Tate McDermott, the halfback, and Fraser McWright, the flanker. We've lost them. I hate referees. That Fraser McWright, I spoke to him yesterday. He's had to go. He got a 3-week suspension. For an upright tackle. Okay, a tackle you see 472 times every game of rugby league. But no, they made him go to they said, you got 3 weeks, except if you go to the tackle school. There was a tackle school. He had to attend this tutorial with a defence expert who showed him some videos and said, this is what you do. You got to bend your knees a little bit more. And he got a week off his suspension for that. Again, we come to, we're trying too hard. I don't know. We're wiping people out, and what we're doing is stopping people from watching rugby. Where's rugby league? I went to the Broncos at Suncorp. First game I'd seen them play live for 3 or 4 years. It was magnificent. There was barely any referee involvement. The game flowed. Everyone was happy, and it was just a great night. Whereas rugby's annoying me, and I want to love it and I want to keep watching it, but it's becoming hard. What will be hard, the Reds trying to play the Blues without our 2 best players after what I saw the Blues do to the Brumbies last weekend. I'm a little bit scared.
Yeah, but you can always fall back on your Broncos and your Dolphins, mate.
My worry always with the Broncos is when they win a few, they start to get up themselves and they're all rock stars, and then I can see it unfolding at the moment. Whereas the Dolphins, I don't know where that came from last week. Not even someone like me who supports the Dolphins saw that coming. So they're actually a decent team somehow. I don't know.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. Jett Cleary. Well, can I say that, yes, on this program, we put this news out last week, got a whisper, and you get all kinds of things told to you when you do this job. But this one, I thought, okay, it's a pretty good source. And this particular source had got the Fisher-Harris news 5 hours before everyone else got it. So when he said, hey, look, this is also happening, then, okay, well, let's put that out there. Cam George didn't deny it on the Rugby League on Monday, and then the Daily Telegraph reported today. Glen Larmer, who calls the Warriors games for Sky Sport, first up, then the Warriorholic Zane Inglis straight after that. Glenn, this will be the main topic of conversation out at Mount Smart, will it not? Welcome back.
G'day, mate. How you going?
Well, yeah.
Yes. Look, I've got to be honest, mate. I don't really know much about Jett Cleary, other than the fact he's been playing for Penrith in their under-18 team this season, this SG Ball, and that's finished now. I think there might be a grand final to come, and they finished kind of mid-table. So, yeah, other than that and being Nathan's brother, I mean, obviously, if he's coming to the Warriors, we all hope he's as good as Nathan, right?
Of course.
I mean, but is he? Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, who knows?
Well, there's a couple of angles on this, isn't there? There's a young man. I mean, for a start, you've been a journalist for as long as I've known you, for well over 25 years. What amazed me about the James Fisher-Harris news was that it was kept secret. And I presume that both clubs would have wanted to keep this one secret for a while, but it broke last week. Too many whispers.
Yeah, and it seems like it would have come from Penrith, I think, the initial rumours about Jett Cleary leaving. So, yeah, because I think, I think Ivan Cleary, Jett's dad, and everyone else at Penrith had no idea what James Fisher-Harris was cooking up this time last week, and then the deal was done very, very quickly. So, it looks like that's where the source of this information into the media has come from, because I don't think anyone from the Warriors at the moment would be, all their signees there, they keep very, very close to their chest.
Glenn, is it simple as saying that Jett Cleary is coming to replace Shaun, or is it not that simple?
Too simple. That's too simple for me. I don't think it's pretty rare for a playmaker to go from under 18s, Martin, and then in the space of 12 months take over in an NRL jersey in the 7 jersey. It's very, very rare. So I would say maybe it's a bit more longer term than that. There's a guy from Penrith that's already at the club, actually, mate. There's a guy, his name's Luke Hansen. Right. He came over at the start of this year, and he was playing in the Penrith Jersey Flag team last year. That's the under-20s team, and he's having his first season in the Warriors Jersey Flag team this year. So there were thoughts that he might be the one that might take over from Shaun in a year or two. And, of course, Metcalf is the guy that's probably really going to be the one that takes over from Shaun in the initial stages anyway, too, Martin. I mean, he's injured at the moment, and he's a bit older than both Hansen and Cleary. So I think what this signals is that the Warriors are thinking longer term here, that they're thinking what year is it now, 2024? This is maybe a look into the 2027, 2028 kind of period for the Warriors that Cleary's coming over. Rumours have suggested he signed a 3-year deal. That would take him to the end of 2027 in the initial stages. So I think that's probably where they're thinking at the moment, mate. It would be that kind of time frame going forward. Not initially, but maybe 3 or 4 years down the track.
Have a great call tomorrow, mate. God, is it a must-win this early in the season or not?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, look, I mean, we'll be having pretty gnarly, I think all the fans, you, me, everyone will be having pretty gnarly conversations tomorrow afternoon if the Warriors don't win this game, mate.
Glenn, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you answering your phone. Such short notice too, mate. Glen Larmer calls it for the Warriors. We've been dear old mates since we both started Radio Sport together back in April 1998. You've just heard the news. Jett Cleary. Well, this is according to the Daily Telegraph. No official word from the Warriors yet, but he has signed, and it's a 3-year deal. The Warriorholic is back online, Zane. Welcome. This news. There you go. Now, when I told you about this last week, you posted on TikTok and you got how many views on your post with people ridiculing you, saying it wasn't going to happen?
About 250,000.
There you go. Not bad. Not bad intel then. And apparently it's true. Now, look, I mean, here on this side of the microphone, we all toss off about, who broke that story. It doesn't matter who broke the story. That's not important. What's important is the guy is coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one for me. I'd been reported that he was signed last year, but he backflipped on it for some reason. And I really wonder what's changed. And having a chat with a couple of mates, the only thing that concerns me is a 3-year deal. We invest all this money to build him up, and then does he jump back and go back and play for Dad and his brother? My feeling is maybe it's a sign he wants to get out of that, being under his brother's shadow, who's clearly the best player in the game. So as a long-term investment, ex-Australian schoolboys rep, so he's obviously recognised as a talent over there. Very exciting.
Okay, so, yeah, he's not, as Glen said, the natural immediate replacement for Shaun. There's a guy called Luke Hansen, who I'm sure you will know about as well. That's the first name that I've heard first time I've heard that name. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, he's playing, I think he's cut up in New South Wales Cup. He's a really solid player, but he's not the guy that you're looking at thinking, well, that's the next Shaun Johnson, but very, very solid. I think he's more of a natural 5'8". And there's another couple of young guys, guy Maui something or other, and another guy Jesse Sorick and SG Baller are really good. So there's a lot of quality there. It's not going to be just a walk-in for Cleary, but for me it's a great sign that with him and Fisher Harris, all of a sudden we're becoming a destination
there you go.
for players who are not in their retirement years. I mean, I guess Fisher Harris is, but he's not coming over for a holiday camp. So that's what excites me the most, mate.
Is it a must-win tomorrow? I just asked Glenn that same question.
Yeah, I think it is. If nothing else, just the movement and momentum behind the team, and particularly you wouldn't want to lose to a team that's 7-0, but I've been watching the Titans. They've got some great footy in them. They just seem to concede a lot. They're averaging about 25 points, 30 points, I think it is, against. So we're going to have to back our defence. Young Zion Maiu getting his debut. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. Bit better bench this week, but going to be a tight one again. Might get a few trees pruned at half-time.
Devlin.
You've got to love sport.
The platform.
We need to talk.
Your favourite game, Lachlan?
We need to talk.
I give you two scenarios. You tell me which out of the two has more chance of happening. We're talking Super Rugby. If you've just joined us on the program, they are reporting out of Sydney, the Daily Telegraph, that the Jett Cleary deal is done. He will be at the Warriors next year. This is what we heard last week. We mentioned this last week. Cameron George, he didn't dodge the question. In the Rugby League Hour on Monday, he said, wait a couple of weeks and we'll get to know more. Well, I'm just wondering whether all the whispers have preempted the announcement. If they're reporting it in Sydney, that means it is a done deal, ladies and gentlemen.
Next!
What is more chance of happening, Lachlan? The Rebels, who are 5-3, beat the Crusaders, who are 1-7, Friday night at 7:05. That result, or the late game, the Waratahs beat the Chiefs. What is more chance of happening out of the two Australian sides?
Neither.
You can say that.
Next!
So you can say that. All right, that's probably as feasible as thinking that the Tars are going to win or the Rebels are going to win, but what is more chance of happening? Tars and
Actually, I'll
Rebels.
take that back. No, I'll say the Rebels win.
Rebels?
Yeah.
Next!
More chance the Rebels beat the Crusaders than
More
the Waratahs
chance
beat the Chiefs.
that the Rebels beat the Crusaders, or 2:05 Saturday, and they're at home, the Drua, Moana Pacifica win that derby.
No. Maybe. More chance Moana Pacifica win. Yep.
Then the Rebels beat the Crusaders. You just said that you thought the Rebels would beat the Crusaders.
I said they could. I didn't say they will. They should. They're better, I think.
But why are we all still thinking that the Crusaders are going to win that game?
London gets that stupid man with his helmet and his sword waving it around when it pops up in your computer screen. You go, no, I just don't trust it.
I don't. That's it. What is more chance happening? The Rebels beat the Crusaders Friday night 7:05, first game to kick off the Super round, or the Brumbies, who are at home Saturday 4:35, beat the unbeaten Hurricanes.
No, Brumbies aren't winning. Oh, it's in
See,
Canberra.
it's in Canberra.
Damn it. I think the last 2 years the Hurricanes season has ended in Canberra against the Brumbies in the quarterfinal.
Yep, you know.
No, more chance that what was the first one again?
Rebels beat the Crusaders.
More chance that the Brumbies beat the Hurricanes.
The Rebels are 5-3. The Crusaders just lost to the Force. They shipped 37 points.
Oh, damn it, you're right. Okay, yeah.
It's not like all of a sudden they plucked. They were after Aaron Cruden to play first five, mate.
No, okay. I don't know. Both have as much chance as happening as the other.
No, I read this on one of the mainstream media sporting websites today. That Aaron Cruden, he's 35 and he's without a club at the moment. It was like it's implying that he still plays. Is he still playing?
Yeah, I think he's in Japan.
No, he's here because he's helping out the Chiefs. Yeah.
Is he really? You sure?
Wife expecting third child. Yeah.
Jeez, you're reading the Women's Day mags.
That's my phone in the background, people. It's dinging because I'm waiting for a message from Kempy to say, I'll come on and I'll talk to you about Jett Cleary. Well, it's not from him, is it?
Who's it from?
Well, it doesn't matter who's it from.
I'm just curious.
Okay, but
is it another picture of Bunny?
I do get some pictures of Bunny.
Next!
What is more chance of happening? Rebels beat the Crusaders.
Which put money on it. Rebels are paying $4. Put money on it.
Or the Highlanders beat the Force.
No, I'm sorry. Well, it's at home, though.
It's at home. The Force don't travel. And the Highlanders can still make the 8. Because every fat kid makes the 8 in Super Rugby, don't they?
Yeah. Bunch of participation ribbons.
That's it. We didn't make the 8 last year. Oh, okay, obviously we're fan-centric in that space and we'd like to ensure that you do make the 8 this year.
This is kind of an embarrassing story, but it happened 10 years ago now. I don't care. 11 years ago, actually. I did German, but I did a year too long, I think, in high school. Because I got to year 11, I didn't care about it anymore. We had this national sort of German competition. There's 2 kids in the entire comp nationally that got participation certificates. No,
you're kidding. You're joking me. Well, for what? For just turning up?
Yeah, I didn't write any answers, mate. I sat there. I didn't write, because it was meaningless. It had no impact on our NCA scores. It's called Goethe or something. And I just thought, this doesn't matter. I don't care. And I'm done with German. I wrote nothing.
Isn't there an NCA
I wrote nothing.
Actual certificate for turning up to class? Isn't there one of those?
No.
Surely there is.
No.
Well, what's wrong with New Zealand?
I tell you what, NCA is the opposite. They try to fail you, essentially. They ask you really nasty questions that don't make any sense.
Mate, we did this with school certain university entrance.
No, but they'll tell you to study this. This will be in your exam, and then bang, there's something you didn't learn all year.
Oh, really?
Well, okay. To be fair, if you're taking calculus,
they didn't give you the answers.
No, but if you're taking calculus, and then there's something you're meant to that you're told it won't be in the exam because you didn't learn it, but then it is in the exam. That's a bit unfair, mate. That's
unfair. God, that's not live.
Mate, that's like you go to college to play basketball and being told, "Oh no, you're actually in the NBA." It's like, well, what? No, I'm in college. No, you've been drafted.
Anyway, I tell you what, that means you're getting $100 million over 3 years. I don't think anyone's moaning too much, are they?
I tell you what, you can bring so much logic into an argument with you and you'll just bat it away with something stupid and ridiculous.
Finally, what is more chance of happening? Super Rugby, the Super Rugby round. No, there's no game on Anzac Day. No, there's no game on Sunday. They couldn't organise an egg on a piece of toast.
Why is there no game on Anzac? Why is there not a classic New Zealand, like a Crusaders Brumbies game?
We're fan-centric in this space. That's why,
seriously, Brumbies Crusaders would be a cracking game on Anzac Day because that's probably the biggest Australian-New Zealand rivalry that there is. Do that.
Well, if they did, they would put it right up against the Warriors because that would be the scheduling from NZRHQ, would it not? Finally, then, more chance of happening. The Rebels beat the Satyrs or the Reds beat the Blues. Reds are at home on Saturday night to wrap the round.
No, Blues win that, I think. So there's more chance the Rebels beat the Crusaders. I think the Blues are going to win the whole thing. What?
They'll win it up until it comes to finals. And the other team tackled us.
Okay, who's the team?
And the other team won a line out.
Who's the team?
The other team ran into a ruck and hurt me.
Who's the team they're likely playing in the final?
Doesn't matter who it is, mate.
No, it's the Hurricanes.
Doesn't matter who it is.
What were the Hurricanes known as?
All they've got to do is actually have another team turn up.
What were the Hurricanes known as before 2016? The team that choked. The team that couldn't win a title. The last team out of all the New Zealand franchises to win a title. You guys couldn't win jack. So don't sit there and act as though the Blues choke in the finals when in fact it's your stupid dumb Hurricanes that couldn't win anything for 20 years.
To be honest. Blah, 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 blah. Miles Davis joining us as he always does on a Wednesday. Lots of football to talk about today. Arsenal thrashing at Chelsea. The goddamn VAR. Rob Penny we talked about. The chance of the Knicks taking out that premiership place. Jett Cleary. All kinds of different topics with Miles. He's a regular guest on the show every Wednesday. What is the chance of all three of these teams winning over the weekend? Wars beating Titans, Satyrs beating the Rebels. Even though the Rebels have won 5, Satyrs won 1, I don't know why. I still think that Canterbury side is still in with a chance of making the finals. And the Knicks winning. What's the chance of all three of those across the next 3 days?
I think I'm going to put money on it now that you just mentioned that, and I was just cogitating my way through it. The Crusaders, I mean, and the Rebels have had some really decent results,
yes,
surprisingly,
they have.
For it. Like, really won. But I just think that this wounded animal, it's got to fight back sooner or later. I thought their loss to the Western Force was a crushing blow. I mean, that was the most embarrassing result, I think, of the season. There's been ones that have been close. That was embarrassing to a side that really should be bottom of the table. But I can see them beating the Rebels. They're at home. They're going to do the business. The Knicks are going to win. And the Warriors, I mean, I think the Titans, are they bottom or second bottom? I mean, they're right down there as well. I think the Warriors are going to bounce back and have a comfortable win. So I think it's terrific. In fact, of all of them, the ones that I think might slip up will be the Bleeding Phoenix, because they're the ones that give you all the hope and will win 3-0 against the top side, and then they'll go and draw at home by giving the goal away in the last minute.
Speaking of giving goals away, what were Chelsea up to today? And the second part to that question is Arsenal win 5-0. Now they go away to Tottenham. At the end of the weekend, Miles, if they can beat Chelsea and Tottenham, 2 local derbies, does that rearrange your thinking in terms of can they actually win this thing?
Well, I told you a few weeks ago that if they got a result up at City, that I felt that they could kick on and win it. Okay, there was the hiccup losing at home to Villa. But they just look a different side, and I don't want to sort of claim credit for it. That Declan Rice, my old mate, is in there. Yep. He's made such a massive, massive difference. And the fact that he's playing in a better side with a manager that encourages attacking play, it just shows exactly the range of his skills. And even the likes of Kai Havertz. I mean, he was like,
reasonably rubbish
thing at a wedding, wasn't he? When he was at Chelsea, he was really struggling, but they've had faith with him, and he's just blossoming. And that Chelsea side, there's something obviously going on in the background. I mean, Pochettino's not a bad manager, he'd be right up there, but for years they've had too many players in the squad, too many egos, like high-profile players. They've kept the wrong ones. I mean, that's a side that got rid of De Bruyne, Salah, and Lukaku.
There you go.
I mean,
there you go.
And now Havertz has gone and he's doing the business. So I think Arsenal can do it. The money's still got to be on City though, because they've got that edge at the moment points wise. But they're starting to look tired. Are they going to have a bit of a hangover after being knocked out of the Champions League? I wouldn't write off, but I don't like any of those teams, but I'd rather Arsenal won it out of the other two.
All right, a couple before we let you go. One of them is VAR. Chelsea denied an absolute dead set penalty against Man City, and I don't know what the VAR is looking at in that one. And then you've got Forest, who have gone public and complained about the VAR decisions in their matches against Everton. Again, what is the answer here? Because we're not going to...
No. Let's talk... Okay. I just want to point out that you did miss one incident that, although technically correct, was probably the worst decision.
Oh, here we go. The guy was offside, you knob. He was offside. He was offside.
What was offside is foreskin.
Does it? But that's the rule, mate. Offside is offside. The offside, full stop at the end of the sentence. There's no such thing as almost offside, mate, or half offside.
No. Football is art, not science. All right, you don't get the protractor.
Well, in that case,
out.
you didn't win in '66, mate, because the Russian linesman took some caviar for that. You computerised that. It didn't cross the line from Jeff Hurst. If you're prepared to accept that,
oh, mate, so Jeffrey told me 20 years ago, mate, that it was at least a yard over the line, or maybe an inch.
And if you remember, wasn't it Roger Hunt who could have actually headed at the rebound and turned around? That's a goal. That's a goal, and he was standing right there, right?
Yeah, I know, but that's, I mean, how many times will people say, yeah, that's my throw on, that's my goal?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. But you're right. I was surprised by Forest actually coming out that strongly. And
well, the guy did the Jason Paris. The guy on the social media did the Jason Paris. He must have been sitting there having a few, and then he starts typing, you bastard,
Yeah, I know, exactly it. And the club takes the responsibility. Now, I don't know whether he's going to suffer anything from that. It looks like Forrest might get a little slap across the wrist. They've already had issues, with points deductions and everything. I don't think they should be riling the people that they're appealing to. So, I was surprised by that. But I've got to say, 100% agree with them. How many times this season, and it seems to be getting worse, it's almost as if the people in the box are just getting more and more paranoid, looking at it and thinking, oh, bomb it, I don't want to make a mistake, and they're making a mistake. Where's the feeling for the game that a decent referee should have for it? Like Dickie Bird in cricket or something like that. A real feeling for the game where you say, do you know something? Nah, let's just move on. Okay, offside. Now, with all these ridiculous lines being drawn, there's not much that they can do about that. But handballs, penalties, there's loads of saying, nah, he went down too easily there. There's nothing he could have done with that. Your arm's in a natural position. I mean, who jumps up imitating the dolphin, with your arms by your side? And the soul is going out of the game.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
The Tight Five.
5 separate sporting topics, roughly 60 seconds on each. When the bell goes ding, it reminds us that we move on quickly to the next topic. Well, Jett Cleary is obviously going to be a topic of conversation, is he not? Lakers blew that game yesterday, Lachlan. Should have been 1-1. It's 0-2. Arsenal versus Chelsea. What do you make of that result? Ezra Mam has said he's willing to accept an apology from Spencer Lenu. Premiership plate in Wellington. Did the Knicks win it all this weekend? Is it a more vital game for the Crusaders or the Highlanders? We can squeeze in the Sonny Bill and Ray Hadley and the war of words that's going on if we really do feel like it. But start with Jett Cleary. So I'm always just very amused, or I'm equally bemused, I suppose. But the fact that these days, and the rugby union's the worst at this, but every sporting club likes to think that they are a control of their own information. It doesn't happen like that anymore. I was told by a very good friend who was a senior detective in Auckland with organised crime. He said, if you're ever going to commit a crime, mate, he said, don't tell anybody. That's nobody. That's zero. The moment you tell one person, it's out of your control from that point on. Because they might, look, he told me but don't say anything. He told me not to tell anyone, but I just wanted to tell you this. Well, what does that person do with that information? They turn around to their bed pillow partner and go, look, I know I shouldn't be telling you this, but I'm just going to... That's how it happens.
Make sure you don't tell anyone.
Make sure you don't tell anyone.
It's like when you say, don't look now, and then they go, what? Where?
What? Where? And everyone...
Why are you looking?
Why? Yeah. So it doesn't matter. None of that's important. What's important is this player and the potential that he has. And that's all he has at the moment, right? Because you can't sit there... Look, he's not Brad Fittler. He's not 18 years old and playing Origin already. He's a brother of a really, really, really good generational talent and the son of a guy who is a generational talented coach.
Yeah, and also there's been a number of young, really good players come through the NRL who people said, he's the next big thing. Watch out for this guy. And they haven't worked out. I think one of the most prominent ones in the last 10 years or so was Ash Taylor. There you go. Played for the Broncos, made his NRL debut playing for them in the last round of 2015, got signed to a big deal with the Titans, was seen as the next big thing in terms of being the best halfback in the game. And what happened? He just didn't live up to the hype because he got paid too much money too early. That was mainly why. But it happens a lot. Just wait till he gets to first grade, plays a year or two, get some starts under his belt, then start to make your your examinations. Yeah. But just quickly, no, it's a great signing for the Warriors. This is what the Warriors need to do, and this is the one thing that I've been really nervous that they wouldn't do quick enough is find a replacement for Shaun. Now, I'm not saying he is the replacement or this Luke Hansen, but you need options. You need options there.
Arsenal versus Chelsea. What do you make of that 5-0 thrashing? Pochettino said his team gave up. That's the Chelsea boss. His team gave up.
It's disappointing. As a Liverpool fan, you'd like to think Chelsea would, do us.
It's a local derby. Yeah, they come to play. I mean, you guys, what? They spent 747 million euros on that squad.
I cannot imagine. Sorry to interrupt, but I can't imagine there's a team, and this is why Chelsea just think have been so appalling. I can't imagine that there is a team in any sport anywhere that has a brand new coach, has about 28 new players in its team over the last 2 or 3 transfer windows. You can't tell me for a second that team is going to come together and sit there and go, we know each other so well, we've already got all these combinations down pat, and Pochettino, well, we don't really understand your language of your origin, but hey, and your accent's a bit strange. But look, we're so on the same page, we're going to push for the Champions League. It makes
we got tied in the blue.
sense.
Chelsea, I'm playing for the badge in the club this week.
It makes total sense why this team's just been a shambles, because no one knows anyone. You turn up to work, you go, who? What? There's another new guy.
All right. Remember last year that they didn't have enough room in the dressing room to accommodate all the players that they had bought. So half of them are getting changed in the corridor.
So this is a team that's not going to actually be in any position to compete for a top 4 spot or any silverware, I think, at least for another year or two. So it doesn't shock me that Arsenal put them to the sword. Because, look, Arsenal, when there's no pressure on them, Arsenal dick teams. The moment there's a smidge of pressure.
Let's talk again on Monday, mate, after they play Tottenham away, okay? Would you put a multi on the Warriors winning, the Crusaders winning, and the Knicks winning, all 3 this weekend? Would you put a multi on those 3 teams winning?
I tell you what, no, because that won't be paying much at all, no.
Well, Crusaders and Warriors are both favourites.
Yeah. Of course they are. Crusaders, obvious. Well, but yeah, of course
obviously? How do you say obviously?
They're at home.
They're playing the Rebels. So if you knew nothing about this season and I said to you the Crusaders are home to the Rebels, you'd be saying, I'm not even watching. That's a 50-point ticket. I'm not even watching. The Warriors are going to play the Titans. The Titans are 0-6. I'm not even watching. That's a dickin' as well. No.
Well, not in the NRL, I wouldn't say that's a dickin'. Super Rugby would say, no, I'm not watching it. NRL, for years, this is the kind of game that, and you're going to bag me saying I'm bagging the Warriors, this is the kind of game that a big team will drop. Brisbane did it a couple of times last year. We played the Titans at Suncorp when we were rolling top of the table on a sunny Sunday arvo, and we were
smacked you up.
They beat us by about 20 points.
That's right,
mate.
I do remember that, yes.
And they've looked good the last 2 weeks, the Titans.
Well, they've looked good, but
seriously.
they haven't won a game yet.
No, but they are going to win one at some point. And I tell you what, in their minds, they're thinking there's no one better to play than a Warriors side that has looked pretty damn average the last couple of weeks and probably believes their own hype a little bit too much.
Premiership plate, what chance do you think that the Knicks get awarded that this weekend? They have to win.
No, they got to win and the Mariners need to lose to Newcastle.
Okay, yeah.
Newcastle aren't really that good at the moment.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Then again, the Mariners are without their star striker by the sounds of things, or they should be without him. Angel Torres, I think is his name, arrested for sexual assault. That's not good. I saw someone post on Twitter, they must be well connected in the A-League, saying he's in big trouble. He's in big trouble.
Anzac round jersey. Let's start the show with this quickly. How do you feel about the fact that they're available for public sale? I don't mind that.
That's fine. I don't mind that.
But
because that's an Anzac representation.
Where should the money go?
Isn't it?
Where should the money go? And why doesn't the NRL just come out with a statement saying, just to clear things up here, all the money raised from all the Anzac
jerseys? Because no one's probably banging that door hard enough. You need a bunch of Aussie journalists to start questioning. Hold up a sec.
Hang on. Yeah. Okay, so you're making money off the Anzac name here. See, I thought Greg Martin was right as well. Tomorrow, last post is fine. By Sunday, I just don't feel comfortable about playing the last post before a rugby league match on a Sunday when Anzac Day was days previous.
Well, it should be played on Anzac Day. So your 2 or 3 games you have on Anzac Day, play it then. That's it.
That's it.
Don't do it any other day. Because, not to sound rude.
Well, I just think the rest is commercialising it, is what it feels like, and it just doesn't feel right. Let's not forget what Anzac Day is about. Final topic. Is it a more vital game for the Crusaders or Highlanders this weekend? And some part of that is,
I think Crusaders.
Can both still make it?
I think Crusaders, because I think the Crusaders losing is actually papering their poor form is turning people away from the fact the Highlanders have been appalling. Not many people are talking about it because they're just so enamoured by the fact the Crusaders are so bad. Then again, I think Rob Penny's more safe in his job than Clark Dermody. So if the Crusaders were to lose the rest of the games for the rest of the year, he's fine. Whereas if the Highlanders did, because this is Clark Dermody's second full season, if the Highlanders go winless to finish the year, hypothetically, I think Dermody's probably out of the job, isn't he?
Devlin.
Rob Penny under enormous pressure. Well, from the media anyway, not from within his own organisation. Colin Mansbridge made it very clear during the week that just stop it, shut up, go away. He's not getting sacked. The Crusaders playing the Rebels at home. Super Rugby this weekend. Well, if you've just flown in from Mars, didn't know anything about the season so far, you're going, well, I'm not watching that. That's going to be a 50-point thrash, and of course the Crusaders are going to win. However, the Crusaders have won, lost all the rest of their games, and the Rebels are 5-3, and they're sitting there 4th in the table. As for the Highlanders, what a disappointing season so far for them. So is Clark under the same kind of pressure. Here's the Highlanders coach. Clark, is this an absolute must-win match for you this weekend?
Yeah, I think it is. I think must win, but must play well. We just, in the last definitely 3 games, Hurricanes, Rebels were a bit better, but Reds definitely not. Just haven't played well, mate. So that's probably the forefront of the mind. And if we play well, hopefully that leads to results.
Well, what do you put that down to? Not playing well.
Good question. It's a good question. We've obviously spent a lot of time sort of thinking about that in the last definitely few days on getting home. Potentially gone away from our game that started the season. The basics of the game we haven't been good at in the last few weeks. So we've tried to simplify things and give the boys confidence. Like when you lose confidence, mistakes sort of tend to lead to mistakes rather than fixing them and moving on and getting back into the game really quickly. So the other couple of areas we've been focusing on this week.
Have the heads dropped, have they? Because that's 125 points shipped in those 3 games.
No, I wouldn't say the heads have dropped. I think the desire and the will to turn up and be better is still there for the boys, and they're really connected. They're they're working really hard, which is a given for down here. But I think it's just that being able to move on from mistakes. Not if we get scored on first moment of the game, like that's not actually the end of the game. It's only the start. So at the moment, that's sort of bogging us down. So we're looking at dumping mistakes pretty quickly and getting our game going.
How do you apportion, however, I don't know whether blame's the right word or whatever with that? I mean, I know, look, you can say, hey, it's an inexperienced side. The guys got to get a bit more professional about it. Those the kind of things that you're talking about? Like, I mean, things happen in games. You got to get over it. You got to get on to the next play.
Yeah, a lot around the mental side of the game. Like, we have got some young guys out there that are gaining experience, and they haven't been in those positions before, but hopefully through that learned experience and then being able to review that and learn as a group, we can move their mindset in game pretty quickly to the next task, which is really important. Like, you just can't have 2 and 3 mistakes in a row against any team in the competition, really. Like every team can beat anyone. So as we've seen already, it's a tight competition, and you just can't afford those, double and triple mistakes.
Do you still harbour genuine beliefs that you can make the playoffs?
Oh, it's a tight table, mate. Like, rightly or wrongly, the way the competition's set up, like we're a win away from being in the top 8. So that is getting very close to must win quite a few of these games. But at the end of the day, it's more around we're at home this week. The team's going to the Dawn Parade tomorrow for the first time in 3 or 4 years. We haven't been here to be able to do it, so it's important that we're connecting with our community and showing respect, and then hopefully that gives us a bit of time to reflect on where we are and the performance we can put out on Saturday.
Clark Dermody, Highlanders coach, with us. This game and then MP, you've got to be targeting those 2 games because the way the season ends, those are pretty tough fixtures that you got lined up. Yeah,
like that's another job next week. The Force is the only real focus at the moment, but you're right, it's the first game in Super Rugby game in Tonga, so that's going to be an awesome occasion to be able to go over there and celebrate with Moana Pacifica in Tonga. But also, you're right, we've got a job to do, and we've got some boys in our team that's home for them as well, and they'll be looking forward to getting over there and playing in front of their family.
Do you look in the mirror and question yourself at all throughout the season and go, am I doing it right? I mean, because it is frustrating. I can feel it.
Every day. Well, you always got to reflect at the end of each day. And we do it as a coaching team, do it as an individual to make sure that the stuff we are telling the players is relevant and not too much, not too little. Like it's a constant thing. But no, every day we're reflecting.
Well, there's still, 6 games to go, mate. And your destination and your destiny is in your own hands, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yep. No, we're looking forward to this week. We're back home. Like I said, we've got a real focus around tomorrow morning, connecting as a team, and then putting out a performance that, the people we're standing with tomorrow morning can be proud of.
The Phoenix, best ever season in the A-League. Finishing 1 or 2. That's absolutely guaranteed. And a home semi-final should be Saturday, May the 18th. Premiership Plate used to be called the Minor Premiership. This is the trophy you win for being top of the table after the round robin before the final series starts. That will be on display in Wellington on Saturday. The Knicks have to win, take care of business, and then hope CCM lose. The former Knicks coach, who has been, I would say, the most successful in that position and was there when the Knicks were playing finals home games well over a decade ago, packing out the stadium. Ricky Herbert joined us today. Finishing 1 or 2 in any competition where you got 27 games says you've got to be hell consistent, right?
Yeah, very much. A couple of chats I've had on the radio throughout the season, that was clearly my thoughts, that they've been consistent this year, and I think when you look at the league, there's been in simplicity, a lot of inconsistency from some of the teams that, people may have thought at the start of the year would have been finishing higher up the table. So, credit to them. They've ground out results when they've needed to. They've dominated games when they've been able to, and held themselves high in the league for long periods of the season. And, that's an awesome job. They've had a great season.
Do you look back with a little bit of irony that Giancarlo is getting praise for being so pragmatic, yet when you were coaching the team and you also had a very pragmatic attitude that, you got criticised for it a lot of the time?
Yeah, I guess it's a few years ago, Marty. And look, I think, at the end of the day, I think the way the team plays, the way they set up, they can sit quite deep. They're a very, very difficult side to break down. They're very good on the counter-attack. And, we probably had a lot of those traits. Similar traits, 10, 12, whatever it was, 14 years ago. Seems a long time, mate, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a long time.
But again, back then we were difficult to beat. I think the team went 24 unbeaten games at home. And I think that's probably the second highest achievement in those sort of results as well. So, no, I'm super proud of what the team did way back then. Super proud of the club and what they've done, since their inception into the league. So, this will be a great occasion for them, and, hopefully they can take it, one step further and go and win a grand final.
There seems to be the added element that with all the players that left and a brand new coach and that getting the young guys involved, promoting guys, and, we've seen, a 16-year-old been offered a contract. How thrilled are you with that? Because that was always part of your plan as well. And I think all of us eventually wanted to see a homegrown New Zealand side. Obviously, it takes time and you've got to be professional about it. But this year it was, it happened because of just simply that. I don't think they had much choice, did they? They've thrown the young guys in and the young guys have worked for them.
Yeah, look, they've done a good job, Matty, and I think, it's testament that what's happened over the past 7 odd years that they've had. Unfortunately, in my era, there was nothing. There was one team only. There was no reserve team, no academy, no facilities to cater for that opportunity as much. So I think, testament that they've got a reserve team now. They've got a third team. They've got opportunities for these young players to consistently being in a professional coaching environment. And, it's churned out players. And like you say, there's been a number of the young players participate in the team for long periods of the season this year, not just sort of half a game here and here. So, but the league in general is like that now, Marty. There's a lot of younger players playing right across the board in all the A-League clubs now. So, I think it's taken a little bit of a turn where it is, allowing the younger players the opportunities to come and play sooner than what they would have done, 14 years ago when there wasn't the opportunities for them.
I suppose, there will be a tad of disappointment in that if CCM take care of business, which we expect them to do, that there won't be a top place. I mean, unless results go in absolutely the Phoenix's way, got to beat MacArthur and hope that CCM drop points. And it comes down, a lot of people will point at Alex Rufa's penalty, but then you think the week before against Melbourne victory, it was a 95th minute winner. Is that just football, Rick? That's just what happens in the balance of the season. You've got to look it up and you say, hey, we got lucky there, we didn't get lucky there?
Yeah, look, there's always going to be those differences, really, Marty, to be fair. I mean, I think they'd look back and go, they've, scored a winner in, like you say, in the last minute, or, they've got themselves a result, sort of grounded out a result with maybe being under pressure for long periods of time, but being good enough to sort of consolidate, ride the wave out and pinch something at the end of the game. But, and they've been at the opposite end of the spectrum, where they've completely dominated teams and been great and convincingly won fixtures. So look, I don't think this league has any difference in any other competition in the world. It's always going to have those peaks and troughs and different types of results coming through, but they have been, and I think with Central Coast Mariners, clearly the two most consistent teams in the league that have been able to generate points regularly, week in, week out, and that's the difference for me. I mean, in Central Coast, yes, they've got a game up their sleeve, but they've still got to retain that consistency, and I think they look a good side. I think it'd be an awesome final to see, the Phoenix play Central Coast in the final. I think two sides that have been that standouts this year, and certainly would deserve that opportunity should it arise.
That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin. You better believe it! The Platform.